Greetings, board members and the Troy community. This is the board packet for the board meeting that will take place on Monday, March 13th at 6 o'clock. It's going to be in the shop room because we're going to do a walkthrough of the vocational arts department. So a little bit change of venue. I apologize from the start. This will probably be a little bit longer of a video, but as we go through this, if you have any questions, please let me know. So some of the basic stuff that we do at the beginning of the board meeting, the administration reports, this one's a little bit longer, probably than normal. We have a lot of people to recognize, from students to a lot of great community members that have helped out in many, many ways. And just a huge thank you to them. And we're hoping to be able to give you your certificate when you come to the board meeting. We have an upcoming community family fun night on March 9th. We invite everyone to be present for that. That would be great. And then April 17th is the next time that we have a luncheon that the board can come and sit down and meet with students. This is going to be at the high school. A lot of great things happening at the elementary school and the junior high school. And a big thanks to our maintenance and transportation department as we keep getting snow and ice and keeping things clear and operational and the facilities warm and our buses working properly. Some district-wide items. So the government auditing standards and uniform guidance document letter that we're required to give to board members every year in preparation for our audit. You can access that and read through it there. Another thing is we have terminated the insurance benefit for our mentor clerk, and that's going to be concluding on December 31st, 2023. So again, with any of these items, if you have questions, let us know. We were able to bring on another mentor clerk in Trinette's place. Mary Bellamy, as the board has already approved her, and she's been doing a great job and very accessible, and we appreciate her work and help and support. K316, this is a service, a detection service that brings their dogs in and checks for drugs or black powder, which could be ammunition or guns or bombs or anything like that. So we have them coming in a few times during the course of the year. One thing I wanted to spend a little bit of time on is the high school counselor, something that we've been looking at as administration, trying to figure out the best way to move forward with it since Mr. Palmer is going to be retiring. We've talked to our therapists, we've talked to our elementary school counselor, who's also our district psychologist, and we've also met with Gear Up and try to figure out if we want to replace Mr. Palmer with another counselor, or if we want to assimilate it with our therapists that we have on staff, which we have 2 in the district, which is pretty amazing that we're able to do that. And then also divvy up some of the work that we have as far as college and career guidance and counseling would be with the Gear Up. We have 2 individuals. We'd be hiring an extra person on for that. So they'd be working with students to be looking at college choice, career choice, setting goals for the future, and things like that. And then therapy, since we do have 2 therapists, they'd be stepping in and providing the therapeutic component of the school counselor. So this is something that we've just been exploring. We've been talking about for a while. Is actually right as Mr. Palmer retired, put in his letter of retirement. That's what we've been looking at. So again, if you have questions, comments, or concerns about this, please let me know. OPI requires us, or accreditation standards require us to have one full-time counselor for every 400 students. So we have 397 at this point. And talking to OPI, if we go over 400 students, we can ask for a variance to accreditation. Let's say if we go up to 420, 430 students, we could ask for a variance, and it likely would be approved since we do hire on therapists, which again is pretty unusual for us to have our own therapists on staff on our own payroll. So that could be something if we go over that 400 mark. Actually, it's probably just a matter of when we go over that, because we've been fluctuating with that 400 mark several times. So over the past couple of years. Also, another thing to report on, open gym. We've talked about this quite a bit. It was a discussion item with the board. The board wanted it to revert back to administration to do a little bit more exploration, a little bit more discussion. And after talking to administration, principals, maintenance director, activities coordinator, we feel like that we want to Just keep it the way that it is and not having the facilities open on Sunday for student or community events, unless there's a specific need, and there can be approval by administration at that point. But it would not be the norm. Also, some other things that have been going on is we've been preparing for negotiations. We have a committee, a board committee that's been part of that. We've been working with 2 sets of attorneys to review those agreements to make sure that we're on the right track. And we've been meeting with association officials, and things have been going very well. We're hoping to have this finalized pretty soon. I think the main thing that we're waiting on is the state to finalize the increase that they're going to be giving across to districts. Also, I would encourage you to look at some of the engineering designs. We have a woodshop design that you can look at and see how we want to get this design. This is for the shop, for the wood shop that Mr. Rogers is been running and getting ready to remodel too. So with the track, the design hasn't changed. There's a updated cost estimate, and you can see the yellow areas would be areas that you could take out and you would be able to be just fine with that. We're going to still work with our engineer to see what else we need to do to tighten this down a little bit more. The fill for the football field. We don't have to do that fill if we don't want to have a 100% MHSA approved track. There's a little bit of difference between one side of the track to another, about 12 or 16 inches. And if someone set a state record, they could complain that and possibly have that removed. But with the additional cost, we feel like it's not absolutely necessary to have a perfect track. Also, they give some prices on base mat structural spray. This would be about $25,000 savings, or a latex poly resin, which would be about $56,000 savings, but it would be a shorter lifespan. So we're still looking at what spray we actually want to have. Some other things to report on as far as grants. The board is going to be looking at the Safe Routes to School. We've been working with the library and the city on sidewalks that we want to have put throughout the community that links the schools with the library, with the activity center, with the walking path. So we'll look at that a little bit later on in the board meeting. And then we received 2 different grants. The board actually approved the application for these several months ago. We just heard back. So a good $63,000, $64,000 here, which we're really excited about that for the Transformational Learning Grant. And then the Montana Advanced Opportunities Grant, also a good sizable chunk of change that we can utilize to provide more opportunities, more high-end, rigorous academic opportunities for our students. We did receive back about our Renew America's Schools grant. This was a $500,000 grant that they just have you initially apply to see what if your district would be eligible. And so we worked on this with Johnson Controls. This would have been for our HVAC system, but we were discouraged to go any further with that, which is unfortunate, but also at least we didn't go through and do all that whole grant process and then get turned down. So they've discouraged us. Talking to engineers, it looks like it would not be beneficial to continue on in doing the full application, because the initial application just to get this far took several hours too. As far as scheduling, the April board meeting, we've moved that down 1 week. So it'll be April 17th. So make sure that you have that on your calendar. And then July 27th, we've hired Elizabeth Calava to be our trainer for the board. So come with your questions then. I just want to make sure everyone has that on their calendar so they don't miss out. We have 2 different presentations. We're going to be talking about vocational arts, hence we're doing it in the shop room. And so Mr. Thill and Mr. McClellan are going to be talking about the shop program that we have in Mr. Rogers. And then we're going to briefly talk about our school resource officer. We're meeting with city council and reporting on that also actually tonight, and just giving them a report, and just very, very pleased with everything that's going on in partnership with the Troy Police Department and their excellent work in our community and in our schools. Some items for consideration: we're recommending the hiring of Tycee Lewis and Mila Rogers, Sophia Cecilio, and Aaron Sarrett. Our tenured teachers, Brooke Sully. Those are all for the elementary and high school districts. And then just for our elementary district, we're recommending the hiring of Andrea Cummings and Jennifer Funk as our junior high track coach. We have a memo of understanding that we're recommending that the board approve. This is for sick leave. We have a situation that we would like to be able to provide more sick leave for a family, and this allows that to happen where a staff member can utilize the sick bank to a more full capacity. And this is actually an MOU that we've combined with the classified and the certified staff. And everyone is very supportive of this. But again, this will allow this family to utilize more sick leave in the sick bank, allow certified staff and classified staff to put it into the classified sick leave bank. And it does not require the person and this family to repay the sick leave bank if for some reason they're not able to come back. The next item is the resolution. Now, this resolution that we're required to do every year is a resolution of the intent to impose an increase in levies. And so every year we sit down and we look in and determine if we may increase these permissive levies, these levies that do not require a community vote, but just if we want to keep some of these programs going, the board could look at it and increase them. You'll notice that most of them are pretty slight. And when the budget is created in August, we typically don't increase it by this much, but we wanted to make sure that the community is aware that they may see an increase in some of these levies. And we balance it out with our general fund too. So we can make sure that the taxes are not do not have a major impact. And so this one is for the elementary district. This is for the high school district. And again, this is not setting anything in stone. It's just simply stating that there may be an increase. Some districts just write 0 all the way down, and then they increase it in August. We'd like to be fair, and we like to overshoot maybe a little bit because transportation, we may have to have an increase there because gas prices are going up. The costs for buses are going up, so we might have to increase bus depreciation there. We have a great adult education program that's taking place right now, and we may have to increase that because of the need in the community. So again, these are going to be finalized in August. There's nothing concrete about them at this point other than just giving an estimate. The next item is a recommendation by our seniors, and hopefully we'll have some seniors there at the meeting. But this is to open campus just for seniors. It would be limited though for seniors who have a 3.0 at every quarter. They even came up with some of the consequences that could happen if they're late or if they have some major offenses. Or they could actually lose it completely. They even developed a process to check in and out, and it will only take place in April and May as a trial run. So it was very, very neat to see the civics class come up with this and propose this to administration, to staff, and coming together on it to present this up to the board level too. We have some new classes we want to recommend for next year. In the high school, diesel and hydraulic systems, automotive electrical systems, and automotive drivetrain. So some neat classes with our shop teachers. We just have a few items to dispose, nothing serious, an old lathe, some computer items, and some old cafeteria trays. We have some policies that we're recommending. The first one is the AEDs. This would, in policy, indicate that we have an AED in the activity center is all. And then this is a form that was developed by a board committee, where if someone has an issue with a library item, they can have a reconsideration through this form and this process. And then we have a recommendation for a policy on suicide and risk assessment. And this was developed by our counselors, our school psychologist, and has a step-by-step process on how we deal with things. So I recommend that the board go through that and ask us any questions that you may have. We have a few things on the work session in our community forum. The first one is the teachers wanted to present about the benefits of a 4-day school week. And so they'll have a few minutes to present on that. We wanted to have an open conversation about student behaviors among administration and the board, and any community members that are interested too. We've had an increase of student behaviors, more severe behaviors, with disciplinary hearings that have had to take place. And so I want to just give that in an open discussion about things. We also want to just report back to the board and see if there's any discussion on bus routes. So Keith has done a nice job going through and doing an evaluation of our bus routes and the costs associated with each bus, and to see if we can consolidate bus routes to save some funds, especially as buses are getting more expensive, gas is getting more expensive. And after reviewing everything and looking at all the different facets that make up a route, and the bus driver and the miles and the funding that we get back from the state and the county, we're recommending that we do not consolidate any bus routes at this time. But we wanted to show you our thought process in that and give you an opportunity to give some feedback on that too. We also have the district strategic plan and the district motto, mission, and belief statements. You can see the strategic plan. We've seen this a few times over the year with our 5 main areas that we focus on. And then in the district motto, mission, and belief statements, I just included the student handbook, because it's at the very beginning of the student handbook, our motto, our mission, and our belief statements. And if there's anything that we want to change or discuss a little bit more, they're all found in here. So we do that once or twice a year to make sure that we're striving to be pretty mission aligned. So if there's any questions, again, please let us know. It's a big agenda, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have or give any more details that people may need. Thank you, and we'll see you at the board meeting.